I try to not do videos in the same series back to back, but I got early access to a demo, and I didn't want to bury it in the next Fest roundup, especially when it dropped the week after. Mechanical Fury is an FPS styled after Doom Eternal, Ghost Runner, and Duke Nukem. At least, that's how the game was pitched to me. After going through the demo, the Doom Eternal influence is apparent, but I see more Ion Fury in the Pro Tag than Duke, with a bit of Ultra Kill mixed in. The demo provides you with two guns, a pistol and a minigun, but before you get any iron, you gotta learn how to move in the game. You wake up at an operation table with a grapple hook in place of your right arm. Based on your character's reaction, I don't think this procedure was voluntary.
Oh my god!
Like what you see, some of my finest work if I may say so myself.
From here, you learn how to incorporate the grapple into your basic movement. It's pretty straightforward. If anything in your set gets the grapple prompt, press mouse 2 to pull yourself towards it. Pair this with pressing F to kick, and you've mastered the basics of CQC. Press shift to dash either on the ground or in the air. You can use air dashes to extend your jumps and reach platforms you otherwise couldn't catch. While you're airborne, you have some influence on where you'll land with the movement keys. Once you get the pistol, you can get a basic idea of how combat works in Mechanical Fury. Mouse 1 to fire, and hold mouse 2. Don't just tap it, or you'll throw at the grapple, to ADS. While you're grappling a target, you can pepper them with gunfire to whittle down their health. A bit further in the demo, and you get a leg upgrade that gives you an alt fire mode for the pistol. Here's where the controls get a little tricky. To alt fire with the pistol, you have to hold down mouse 2 to ADS, press mouse 1 to fire a shot, and then press F to kick the bullet. Your next shot will be more powerful and ricochet along the walls and potentially hit multiple targets. I think now you'll see why I brought up Ultra Kill as an influence. You can use alt fire to hit multiple targets simultaneously, or destroy shielded targets by bouncing the shot off of walls. It's cool, but the order of operations to pull off the action feels too involved in my opinion. Also, if you fire the pistol and kick simultaneously, which is really easy to do in the middle of a gunfight, you won't proc the alt fire, and by that point, you're probably getting dogpiled by enemies, and we're relying on the alt fire to do some crowd control. Once you get the minigun, you should have a grasp on what to expect from enemy encounters. Zip around the arena on grapple points, lock onto a target, and pepper them with gunfire as you close in for a kick. If you get an enemy close to death, they'll flash pink. Do a grapple kick to finish them off with a flourish and double up on your health. It's a nice spin on the Glory Kill Zandatsu mechanic, but like the pistol's alt fire, I think it's asking for more work from the player than I would naturally expect from this kind of shooter. Like, the reason why Glory Kills work in the new Doom games is because all it takes is a single button press. When you're in the middle of a gunfight, you're not trying to dial in a Bayonetta combo to take out a single target. Ultra Kill is a little more involved because your health is constantly oscillating between running on fumes and engorged with blood based on how efficiently you can mow down enemies at point blank range. I think it would benefit the game to simplify some of the actions, to remove the friction that advanced maneuvers require from player execution. Also, I get what the game is trying to do with the pistol's alt fire, but I had a hard time teaching myself to not hold down mouse 2 when I'm shooting because I'd be aiming down sights and wondering why the grapple didn't work. I think the combat works best when the arena is dense and has a mix of wide open zones, with enclosed spaces that you can use to control the rate of enemy encounters. I feel this way because the boss arena is fine for a boss encounter, but the mob fight leading up to the boss needs some more terrain. Or just, don't electrify the ground and erase platforms before the boss drops in. There's a few points where I cleared out the arena and waited for more enemies to pop in, and it made me acknowledge how the room felt particularly empty compared to previous fights. I think the only thing I need from the boss in the demo is for its health bar to always remain visible, as I wasn't sure if my shots were landing unless I baited it into doing a charge attack. You could see the large crit symbol appear over its head. Moving on from the combat, I like the game's art style. The texture work is going for a heavily inked comic book aesthetic, and I dig it. The use of bright colors in the platforms reminded me of Hi-Fi Rush, and the character portraits and key art have that same charm that Jenna Kids has in evoking the anime-inspired webcomic look.
Oh, you mother...
I think the Saturday morning cartoon aesthetic works with the platforming in a way that it never did for me with Doom Eternal. The music is appropriate for the tone. It's constantly pumping in the background, but not too overwhelming. In fact, I think it needs to turn up the volume when the combat starts to really take effect. sound design is a mixed bag. I'm not a stickler for whether guns sound punchy, but every now and then, I get this persistent droning sound, and I couldn't for the life of me figure out where it was coming from.
Just in time to dodge!
There are points where the dialogue starts to get bit crushed, and I had to reload a checkpoint to fix the audio.
Lock and load.
As for missing sound effects and cinematics, I'm not going to dock points off of that in a demo. I assume that'll get addressed by the time the full game drops. Hopefully, I'm not coming off too critical on what's essentially a work in progress. There's a good foundation here for the movement, especially with the ability to adjust your path while in midair. I would like an extra dash charge, as I have a tendency to overshoot my jumps, but the cooldown is fast enough for my liking. I haven't seen the game's full arsenal, but I think the grapple-based combat is a decent novelty. Like I said before, I think the alt-fire execution could be simplified. Maybe throw away ADS altogether, and just let us hold down mouse 1 to charge a shot that we can kick. Also, open up the timing window between firing the gun and kicking. I think it would help a lot of the execution problems I had in combat if I could press fire and kick simultaneously, instead of having to slow down to get the timing sequence just right. I like the spread on the minigun, but the alt-fire tutorial on the pistol made me think that the minigun had a similar function, and it bugs me that it doesn't. I can see people writing up the gameplay as being too gimmicky by focusing everything on the grapple, but Boomerang X did fine, so I don't see why this can't work. By the time this video drops, the demo will be out, so check out Mechanical Fury and give the team your feedback. Be nice though, making games is hard.